This is casual, so if anytime you want to stop, ask questions, yeah. I don't want to make this too formal. Thank you for coming. Arigatou gozaimasu. And it's been a long time, yeah, since I've been here. 4 years, maybe. Yeah, yeah. It's been a long time because of COVID. Yeah, it messed everything up. But we've been very busy. We've been very, very busy. And so I'm really happy to be here to show you kind of what we've been up to. And I'll show you some older stuff just to remind you. And also some the stuff that we're doing now, the newest stuff, yeah? So hopefully you guys will leave here knowing a lot more about UA, which is, that's what I'm here for, yeah? And hopefully I'm going to talk about stuff that you're not going to see on the, when we sell products on the marketing or the, press release or the magazine. They're not going to tell you some of this stuff, yeah? So hopefully it's stuff that you've never heard before. And so whenever I get to meet customers or end users, I always like to start with the history of UA because it's very important to the way we think. And I think it's what makes us very different from all the other technology company that makes products for audio. This is just a collage of early UA. So UA started in 1957, and 1957 is a very, very important year. Do you guys know why? 1957. What happened? That's the year when the album came out. The LP, yeah? So it was almost like the first time we could distribute music. Imagine that. Only 1957. Until then, if you wanted to listen to music, you had to go to a performance. Yeah, you had to go to perform, or you listened on the radio. You couldn't just go and buy stuff, It was very hard to get music. So it's almost as big as when we went from, albums to CD or CD to MP3. It was like radio to, records, basically. Yeah, it was radio to records. So it's huge, and it was actually the start of the studio. So before then, they had a lot of people doing audio, but only very rich people. You could cut cylinders or you can make tape, but it's very expensive. So only the elite people could record music. Yeah, but around the 50s, things start to really pick up. Yeah, things start to change, and now you could record. Basically, it was mono. Yeah, mono recording. A lot of microphones, mixer, down to mono. Right. It was a crazy time because when you listen to those old records, if you listen to those original records, they sound incredible. Like they're mixed very well, considering there's only a bunch of mics and it's all going, one shot, right? One shot, no editing, no Pro Tools, right? And no. So basically, UA started like that, And so this was our first studio. It's called Universal Recording Company. It's in Chicago. Yeah, it's gone already, but this was the original studio. And this is Bill Putnam. He founded the company. So he's both, he's a musician, electrical engineer, and good businessman. So what he did was he started off just making records. He was a producer. So he produced, many people. He made a lot of albums and stuff like that. But the equipment that they had was very poor. They didn't have all this equipment. They had only radio equipment, or like the guys in the movies, the guys making movies had some equipment. So what they did was they pulled it all together and tried to make studio to record musicians, And eventually, Bill, because he's an electrical engineer, he decided to design, his own stuff. And that's how we started, yeah? So in 1957, Universal Audio starts, and this is a picture of an old control room. So there's this little tiny console, right? Couple channels, and then over there you see the room, right? It's huge. So that's like Count Basie, Count Basie Orchestra, or big band, a lot of big band, or string section, so they were doing like massive recording with these tiny little consoles into mono. So that's how we start. So we started in the studio. So the reason why I want to show you this is we start from the very beginning of recording, from the very beginning. And this is where we are today, and this is the latest lineup of UA equipment. And a lot of this, like pedals, microphone, volt, is very recent. It's very recent. And we started launching them maybe 3 years ago, and very fast we launched many of them. And I think many people are still confused why we launched so many products, but this is kind of the design. This is kind of how we imagined everything. And finally, now I can show you everything. So this is basically Pro Studio, Project Studio, Home Studio. What's the difference between these three? Pro Studio is when you mostly record other people. The studio is not for you. Studio is to record other people. And then Project Studio, mostly you, but sometimes other people. Producing other people's songs and stuff like that. And Home Studio, just for you. And so we have these three different customer segments, and now we have product basically for all. And what's really interesting is that they're almost all the same feeling. It's all inspired by analog recording. And what is analog recording? Analog recording is when the focus is on the musician and the performance. So of course we use MIDI and virtual instruments now a lot, but still there's so much. The most important thing is the vocal, or the guitar, or the live part of it. And even when we use virtual instruments, we're trying to make it sound live, right? Trying to make it sound real, like all the old records, And so I think what you're going to see in all of these is the spirit of the studio is in all of them, So when we make interfaces, we're not just making in and out, We're making an environment where you can, for instance, change the mic preamp, or you can add compressor, so you can make the artist feel more comfortable, so they can perform really well. And then when you record, you get a good take, So you don't have to keep editing. You don't have to keep editing and auto-tuning and doing all this stuff, because that's how music's supposed to be recorded, And so I think you're going to find that that's what we do in almost everything, In the microphones, we have basically really durable. This is called the Standard Series, and it's really for not just for beginners, it's for everyone, but it's very affordable, so much lower price than our other microphones, and also very workhorse, good for making high SPL things. And then we have Sphere, which I'm going to show you a little bit today. I don't know if you guys have seen this before, but it's a modeling microphone, And so what this allows you to do is kind of like UAD, lets you have a lot of equipment with only one. You can have one mic and you can have like 40 mics. And then on the high end, this is the company that we purchased. We acquired Bach. I don't know if you guys know Bach, but it was pretty famous underground microphone maker. All handmade, really high quality parts. And the name, you can see 87, 67, 251. So you kind of understand it's based on very famous microphones. But it's made more durable because classic mics are very difficult to maintain. Also, if you buy used, sometimes they don't sound that good, So these are like perfect replica with new features. So we have, a really strong microphone line. And then we have new guitar tools. This too, I'm going to show you today, a lot of guitar tools. And our plugins, up till now, we only had this, UAD. Do you guys know UAD? Are all you guys users? Yes. All users? Okay, so use Apollo. Apollo, okay, good. So up till now, all we had was this, right? DSP. But then we launched this, Spark, just subscription, subscription service. And now we have basically many, many plugins. Like we're gonna, by the end of the year, we're gonna have 50 UAD plugins in Spark. Yeah. So we have 50 native plugins. We still have a lot to go. We have a long way to go, but still we'll have a lot, yeah, coming. And so now you can blend, yeah. You can use DSP when you need, like when you're tracking. DSP much better because no latency, and reliable with laptop or slow computer. Yeah, still good, you know. But more and more people have M2, you know, really fast computer. So now we can let you also use that power, especially for mixing, mastering, yeah, or mobile workflow. So now we have the processing really hybrid, so you can do almost anything. So we come from this, and we still love analog. And if you have the time and the money, you should get some analog, yeah, especially for your vocals. It's really good. It's unique. That's what makes it different from plugin, yeah. Because each unit is a little bit different, and you can touch it, you know. But for most people, this is not possible already. It's too expensive. No total recall, you know, many problems. Only rich people can use analog, yeah. But if you can't afford it and you have the time and the money, we hope you get analog because it is wonderful, yeah. And we still make it, yeah. Still make it in California. But the revolution is here, yeah. This is where really the world is, right? All plugins. And so UAD is basically the biggest library of emulation in the whole world. And not only the number of plugins, but the technology is different than almost everyone else. Almost everyone else is using convolution, yeah, IR, impulse response. So it's a capture. It's like a picture, yeah, of a certain situation, but that's it. So it's not dynamic. So it doesn't really take into account input level, signal speed, you know, like transient speed and stuff like that, like a real hardware would react. And so the way we do modeling is called circuit modeling. So what we do is we take a hardware. First, we have to find hardware. We have to find the very, very good hardware, yeah? So, because we don't want to model a junk one, right? We want to model the best one. So we find like a really top one, and then we make sure it's perfect. We rebias everything. We put it back into original condition, yeah? And then we tear it apart. All the systems, you know, preamp, tubes, transformer, power section, all this stuff, we tear it apart. And we rebuild with software these parts and models, yeah? And then we put back together again in digital. And what's interesting about this technique is that when you put the thing back together again, then the buttons and the knobs and everything work like the hardware. Do you guys know 1176? You guys know 1176? Yeah. 1176 hardware, right, has a funky mode called all button. Yeah. You guys know when you put all the button in, it's very weird. It sounds like an explosion, you know, very distorted compression. So for most people doing IR, they have to sample that. They have to capture that, and then they, you know, when you push all the button in, they put that convolution, right? That's how they do it. For us, because it's circuit modeled, right? If we put the buttons in the circuit, then it makes that sound. Yeah? So it's a very different thing. We don't have to keep sampling anything, you know. It runs like a machine, yeah? So that's the difference between these plugins. And you can really tell when you turn all to 10. If you turn all the control to 10 and listen, most convolution plugins will fail. You can hear it doesn't sound anything like the original. It sounds very digital, yeah? UAD plugins, it distorts perfectly. It behaves perfectly, yeah? So we have so many of these plugins. And of course, we have hardware to run it. This is satellite and PCI cards. This is slowly going to fade down, yeah? So we already lower price on this, yeah? So the price is going down. But for many people with slow computer, I think it's still a valuable product. So we continue to sell it, but I think slowly this is going to be, you know, crossfade with native, yeah. Another cool thing about our plugins is we don't make by ourselves. We actually make the plugins with partners, yeah? So we actually make contract with all these companies. That's why we can use the logo. And usually before we release plugin, the people like at Studer or Shadow Hills, they have to come and check to make sure. So they send the expert to us, and we make sure that everyone is happy, that it deserves the logo, yeah? So it's a little bit different from the other plugins you see people making, yeah? So basically, this is the new world, yeah, of plugins now. So your choice, yeah? DSP, and you can buy perpetual, so one at a time, or you can buy bundle, yeah? Then native, you can do subscription, you can do perpetual, or you can buy bundle. And then we also have, Spark is in here, yeah? So Spark, you get everything updated whenever we launch new stuff. So another cool thing is if you buy DSP or you own DSP and we launch native, we give you free, yeah? So your system, that you bought many years ago, every month it gets better. Every month it gets better, right? Super cool. And opposite too. If you buy native, we give you the DSP. So maybe in the future you want to buy Apollo. You start with Volt, and you want to buy the Apollo. You can get the plugin. Yeah. So it's super cool. So it allows you to work however you want to work. Yeah. You want to work it native sometimes. You want to work DSP sometimes. I think this is the only system that you do that, and lets you do it for no additional price. Yeah, for free. So. And so this is, we already have about 30 now, and it's going to get up to about 45 by the end of the year, yeah? And of course, because of native, now we also have instrument, yeah? Have you guys tried some of these? No, not yet? If you can, please try. Originally, we launched this with Luna only, yeah? Only with Luna. Now it's free, it's open, yeah? Yeah, so everyone can use these now. And we are very proud of these plugins. They sound really, really good. Most people that heard all of them, whatever was number one before, like B3 was, IK, everybody liked the IK one. But as soon as this one came out, it was like the top, yeah? So we hope you check it out. We do the same kind of modeling on this too. So this isn't just sampling. This is a lot of modeling, yeah? So not only we get the sound, but we get the microphone, we get the room capture. So it's not just the instrument. It's actually as if you had the instrument in a studio with good mics, and we capture the sound. And so it sounds super real, yeah, super real and natural. And of course the synths all have a lot of analog flavor. So even, this is a wavetable synth called Opal, but even here we are modeling analog filters, analog oscillators, and stuff like that. So you always get this kind of very musical instrument. And then Apollo. Apollo is kind of, we launched it 2012, so it's like 11 years old now. Yeah, 2012. And this really changed everything, yeah? The whole way people make music almost. If you go almost any studio now, especially producer studio, not big one, but mainly music producer studio, it's all Apollo, And the reason is it's not an interface, right? It's a studio. It's literally a studio with a whole bunch of rack gear and preamps and guitar amps and all this stuff. And so we're continuing to support this. You probably saw earlier this year we did Atmos. Now where's my slide thing? Okay, let me just go through this. I'll just go through it. So Apollo, of course, the reason why it's so cool is you have the DSP built in. Yeah, you can do real-time processing. Unison, which is the software that combines hardware, work together to make preamp and guitar amp emulations better. And of course, Thunderbolt lets you do amazing cascade expansion. Yeah, so you can keep adding interface and make your studio bigger and bigger. Do you guys use Unison? Aziz? Yeah, it's super cool. Yeah, it really has the character of the real hardware, and the mic, the mic thinks it's the real hardware, because of the switching that we have here in electronic stuff. And of course, we do this for guitar as well. I mean, just one of this is more than the Apollo, right? So being able to use like 8 channels of Neve is kind of crazy, on one interface. It's really amazing. And of course, for guitar, it works on the High Z as well. And thanks to our custom driver, this is a really special part of Apollo. Most interface, if you want to expand, it's very hard. It doesn't behave like one mixer, right? It behaves like many, many, many mixer. And so it's really hard to make headphone cues or do any kind of work with all the inputs. So Apollo is the only system where you can just plug it in and you can keep growing the system. Yeah. So it's super powerful, and all controlled by console. And we keep expanding console's power. So just recently we added Atmos for X16. Yeah. So this is allowing a lot of people to try Atmos very inexpensively, yeah, because this will give you the I/O. It'll also give you monitor control, calibration. You guys, any of you guys do Atmos? Not yet? Oh, you do? Cool. Yeah. So many people were suspicious of Atmos because it doesn't seem like customers asking for Atmos. But I think after this many years, like 3 years or so, it looks like it's gonna stay. It looks like this time, because Apple, Amazon, Netflix are pushing and paying, I think it's actually real. So a lot of people are really trying to learn it. So yeah, if you ever want to learn, it's so easy. You just get X16. And then speakers, you can get many options, much cheaper options are available too. So we are putting systems together for about 10,000 USD. Whole system, speakers, X16, Sonar works for the room correction, and Logic works really good. So it doesn't have to be Pro Tools, it can be Logic, and Dolby Renderer. Yeah, just that, and you can actually get started with full Atmos mixing. And this system is really cool. So you guys have never played with this, right? You guys have never seen it? Yeah, so what it is a series of windows within console that open. And so you can set up, first of all, you can calibrate every single speaker to 0.1 dB. Yeah, so you get SPL meter and you can measure and set every single one of the trims. Then when you hit set, it locks all this and you can control one knob. Yeah. You can also calibrate the monitor with SPL. So you can set a certain point on the level to certain SPL. If you're even doing stereo, I recommend you do this because it will give you better reference in your studio. So you know that that's always 72 SPL. And once you get used to that, then I think it'll help your mixing. Yeah, and that's a feature in stereo too. So you don't need to use this one. It actually works in stereo. You can also calibrate stereo too. Yeah, if you ever have problem in your studio. Yeah, always good to check. Yeah. You also have this window that you solo mute. Yeah, any of the speakers. Then you have meter bridge to monitor all your streams. And what's really cool about it is just one choice. You just choose the monitor mode you want, and all the I/O set up for you. So you don't have to patch, you don't have to label, you don't have to do anything. Yeah, it's very, very easy to set up. So we support 514, 714, 916. Yeah. And also 5171, of course. Mm-hmm. Jump through that. So Apollo, it really is so powerful. You can use it, this kind of composer workflow, small kind of multi-group producer thing. You can do live tracking with it. You can use it for live sound as an effector, as an effect box. A lot of people are doing that. Of course, you can use it as the center of a big studio or mixing, So just super powerful thing, powerful system. And keep getting better, keep getting better with new software updates. So Volt is a new thing that we started. And it's not just for beginner. It is aimed at beginner. It aimed at beginner and musician. Because musicians, they don't like machines, usually, Musicians like their instrument. They like their pedal. They like to sing. They like to play guitar. They don't like the computer too much. I'm kind of like that too. I'm a saxophone player, guitar player. I don't like machines, even though this is my job. I don't like machines that much, I like simple, And so what we try to do with this is not just make a cheap interface. It's not just a cheap interface, It's very much like Apollo. And so it has a great converter system. Of course, not as good as Apollo, but very good, very solid converter system. And we added something called vintage mode, So this is an analog circuit that copies the 610 preamp or tube preamp, So it gives you a kind of a tubey sound with a touch of a button, So you have basically two choices. You can have a very clean, sharp, modern sound, or you can have a warmer sound, And we also created another circuit, the 76 circuit. And this is, again, just push button. You have vocal, guitar, fast mode, and you can just scroll through. And it's very light, so you don't have to worry if too much compression. It's not going to be that much compression, just enough to get you excited, Because if you ever use compressor, it's awesome, right? Everything more even, louder, more present. So these are all built into the Volt, and we also give you lots of software. So when you start, you're ready to go without buying any more equipment, at least for a while. Now, microphones. So to start microphone, actually we started with this. This was our, we started working with a company called Townsend Labs. We call it the L22 Sphere. That was about 5 years ago. And so they're a company based in the same city as us. So they're in Santa Cruz too. They were in the same area. And so they were friends of ours. So they actually made the Sphere, L22. They used our laboratory. They use our lab, they use our studio to make that product. So we're very friendly with them already. And eventually they want to sell their company, so we decided to purchase. So we bought the entire Sphere. And also the head engineer of Townsend Labs, his name is Chris Townsend. He actually works for UA now. So he is in charge of all the microphones. So, and that led to us wanting to also make microphones, different microphones. So these are designed by us. They are made in China, but they're all designed by us, And what we wanted to do was create a line that is very standard, like you said, you can use for anything, And very durable, very dependable, and the sound is very reliable. You can use it for almost anything. And so we have SP1, which is condenser pencil mic. It comes in a set of 2, So you can do stereo recording. And then, of course, we have Sphere. And where did the other one go? Hold on. I missed the mic. Oh, it's gone. Where did it go? Sorry, my slides are funny. Okay. Anyway, sphere. So have you guys ever seen this before? You have? You know how it works?
Yeah.
You do? Okay. So maybe I don't need to demo it then. So sphere. Anybody didn't see it before? Everybody knows how it works? Good. So sphere is, what's interesting about it is it has two capsule, yeah? So it's capturing omni all the time. It's always capturing front and back. And then it goes into two channels, yeah? And that lets us capture the whole picture. Then we use the software to decode and do modeling much better than single source, yeah? And we have now many different software you can use to get very premium mic sound out of one mic. So super cool. And we have two model now, yeah? The DLX is like the L22, the original one. So it is set up to do stereo as well. The LX is a little bit cheaper, but made for more single source. Yeah, so it cannot do stereo. That's the main difference. Yeah, and this one has a little bit more model. Yeah, more models in it. But LX is perfect for vocals. Yeah, for vocal recording. And we have multiple version of the software. So we have UAD, so you can run that inside of console, no latency, yeah? So you can actually do changes with the singer from your computer, which is so cool, you know, super cool. And then we also have native version for mixing, yeah? And then Bach mics, these have finally started shipping. So these are based on these numbers, you know, 67, 87, 251. So it's based around those mic and the circuit, but they're built like modified units. David Bach was a repairman in LA. So he was favorite repairman of many, many, many singers. And so they would bring the mic to him and say, fix it. And he would fix it, give it back to them, and says, oh, but I want it to sound like this. Or I want it to, you know, I want more bottom end or whatever it is. So they made a lot of requests. So over the years, he learned all of these tricks on how to modify those circuits to get different sounds. And so what these mics are is kind of a collection of those ideas, yeah. So it'll give you kind of a 251 sound to begin with, but you also have this fat switch on the back that gives you, for instance, the sound of proximity, but far away. So you can get a lot more beefy sound, even though you're far away from the mic, yeah. And also very reliable, you know. So unlike vintage or a lot of the clones that are out there, these are, you know, super premium microphones, yeah. So we have all those three. They're finally shipping worldwide. So hope you check them out. What's really interesting, at first we thought these were really expensive. Like the 251 is $6,000, yeah? And that's expensive, right? That sounds expensive. But actually, if you want a 251 right now from Telefunken, it's like $12,000 or something like that, right? So these have actually become value microphones, you know? So if you're in the market for any a premium microphone, please check these out. They're actually more flexible than the originals, so you can get actually more different sounds out of them. So aux. So this is kind of an old product now. Yeah, this is our first guitar product, and it was very risky product. We didn't think we didn't know if it would sell, you know, when we launched it. But luckily, the problem was big for many people. Many people have amps that they want to use and it's too loud, and they don't like the IR speaker convolution. So again, through our engineering, through our modeling, we managed to make a product that now is everywhere. You know, like almost every studio that does guitar work has one. You can see on YouTube, all the, you know, anybody streaming has one, right? So it's become kind of a industry standard for this. And it's really about the speaker model. Yeah. The speaker model is not IR, it's dynamic, and that's what really makes it different. And that is what this is all about. So all of these pedals, this is UAD in a box. So all of these, this is 1176 LA2A, you know, the plugin that you like to use. That's in here, right? So it is the same quality as a studio thing, right? So these pedals don't sound like guitar pedals. They sound like rack processor. You know, they sound like full-on studio equipment. So most people, when they plug in, they're shocked by the sound because it's like, they look on the ground and it's this little pedal, right? But basically, these things are running UAD plugins, yeah? So, and also converter system, like in and out, ADDA converter system, all come from like Apollo and Volt type of technology. So it's like a little Apollo, you know, that you can step on. Yeah. And so we've been doing this. These are our newest ones. We also have compact line. So now you can get UAD plugin for $199, right? You can get like an 1176. And this thing sounds incredible. It sounds better than any clone 1176. Yeah. The only thing that sounds better than this is a real 1176. Yeah. And we'll keep developing these. These are good enough. If you wanted to mix with these, insert, you know, you just do analog insert in your DAW, you can mix with them and you'll be very happy, you know, that high quality. This is our newest pedal, aux stop, yeah? And what we did with this was, aux is two pieces. It's a load box, you know, it's an electronic load box, so it sucks the power from your amp and lower the volume. So that doesn't do that. But the other part, which is the studio, where you can have different cabinet, you can have different microphone, different room mic, and effects, we squashed it all into that box. So this thing will let you take anything like your Boss, Zoom, Helix, 11 rack, you know, any sort of processor you have, turn off the speaker, yeah, in that product and plug that in, and it will sound better. It's like magic. It can turn anything with effects in it, make it sound more real. And so I think there's going to be a, what do you call it? Vintage digital. I think there's going to be like a vintage digital kind of revolution where people start taking out all their old pedals and plugging into this and trying to get new sounds. And this is actually set up in a way that's more fun than that. It's actually more fun than the aux because you can take it around. It's so easy to carry. And it'll take any signals, line signal. So you can use, for instance, if you have an amp that has a send or a preamp out, you can just plug that in, yeah? No speaker, SIM. And then basically you can set up the microphones here. So you have three choice, dynamic, condenser, or ribbon. And that kind of changes the character. And then this is like a distance control, yeah? How loud. And this is speaker drive. So this knob controls the age of the speaker. So the way we model the speaker is a new speaker is very crisp, very fast. And as you turn it, the speaker gets older. So the speaker gets more loose and it gets a little bit more compressed. Yeah. So you can get a lot of different sounds out of this thing just with very few controls. Yeah. Radically change the sound. And then you can also add room, which is the room mic that picks up the cabinet in the whole room. Yeah. And you can store all of that on this rig knob. So you get up to 6 different choice of rigs. And a rig is actually kind of complex. So rig is 2 microphones, yeah, room mic, and master effects. And master effects, you get EQ, compressor, delay, reverb. So it's kind of like multi-effect pedal. It's kind of like a multi-effect. So you can have a speaker plus a lot of effects. And the way we set the pedal up is you can actually use the switches here to turn the effects on and off. Yeah, so you could have 1 speaker and 2 effects, yeah, on and off, live. So it's pretty cool. So it will add a lot of power to almost any guitar setup you have. So even if it's just pedal board or multi-effect or amp, you plug it in. Now you can go straight to PA, yeah, direct PA. So super cool new product. It just launched 2 weeks ago, I think, but it's selling really, really well. So a lot of people interested in this technology. Another thing we're doing, it's really fun, is we're starting to give plugin away. This is not for you guys, because you guys already have, right? But we're trying to find new customer, yeah? We're trying to find new customer. So we're also doing some really exciting stuff where we're giving away plugins so new people learn about UAD, yeah? Okay. So let me switch screen. This one. Okay. Cool. You guys have any questions? No? Yeah.
You know the the satellite units?
Yes.
Can those go hand in hand as well?
What do you mean?
Can I connect to satellite units for?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is there a limit to that? Or?
Yes. There's a total of you can do up to 6, and that's a limitation. That's actually a limitation of Thunderbolt. So up to 6 things can be chained. Yeah. But there are certain rules. So you can only have 1 twin because it turns into the controller.
Yeah.
So you can have 1 of these, and you can have up to 3 more racks and 2 more Apollo. So you could have like 4 rack, 2 satellite, or you can have 1 of this, 3 of this, 2 of this,
Okay.
or you could have 6 satellite.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's very flexible.
Sure.
Yeah. Some people have that. Yeah.
Satellite.
Yeah. You know, like Hans Zimmer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I have a question about the Sevilla mic.
Sure.
It is a stereo into the interface.
Yes.
In the DAW, when I record, I just need to use the stereo track.
Yes. That's right. Yeah.
I cannot make it to the mono.
No, until you print. So basically, the workflow is you open a stereo channel, yeah, and then you plug it in, and you just record normally. And then once you're if you're going to print it, then just bounce it to mono. Yeah, just bounce out the final track. Yeah, because you can tweak it only when it's stereo.
Yeah.
You cannot edit it once you flatten it. So a lot of people just leave it stereo.
I'm very confused when I edit the vocal, edit the stereo channel.
Oh yeah, but it's the same. Yeah, it's just one thing, so
Yeah.
it's pretty easy. In the beginning, it's very intimidating. Yeah, because you see the stereo, but
Because in my whole life it's edit the mono. I have
Right.
to edit the stereo.
Right. Right. Yeah, but if you're gonna do a lot of editing to it later, like tuning and all that stuff, then you're better off picking the sound and then flattening it, then working on it from there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey. Mhm.
X16,
Yeah.
the Atmos one. You said you can do calculate in the stereo,
Yeah.
but it's only in X16 or the other.
All the other ones.
All the other.
Yes. The other ones support up to 7.1. Yeah. So Atmos, the big, yeah, those numbers, you cannot get we don't have enough outputs on the other ones. So for all the other units, you can either do stereo 5.1, 7.1. And then X16, you can do Atmos. Yeah. And yeah, the calibration and all that stuff, it works pretty much the same. Yeah. Cool. So let's mess around with the guitar stuff then a little bit. Let me see now. I got a guitar here. So this is just straight into the Apollo, yeah? This is straight sound. And so this is currently our best-selling pedal. It's called the Dream. Oh, do I have to switch the? Let me see now. 3? Is that one? Yeah, there you go. So this is the Dream, and this is basically a model of a blackface Fender Deluxe, a 65, and it's pretty incredible. So you turn it on. And as you can hear, it's a full deluxe. You get the input stage, the really real reverb. Let me turn the reverb up some more. Doesn't that sound like a real amp? You also can access a tremolo. I can't see. Models of a tremolo, your EQ controls, and you can change speakers really easily. Yeah. So let me go back. Change some speakers. Multiple sounds stored in it as well, so you can. I think it's a dirty sound to put in here. Yeah. There's also a mode where I can turn the speaker off completely, and then I can use something like an aux down, for instance. Now this is doing that, the speaker down. Add like the reverb, so let's turn the reverb off. Sounds like it a little bit. This is the speaker drive. So this is like older speaker. So zoom down a little bit, and then we can mess with some microphones. So just with the mic blend, let's turn it all off. So let's start with a dynamic mic. So that's like a 57. And then the other side, let's use a ribbon. It's a lot more bottom, yeah? So what you can do is you can basically blend these two together. Add a little reverb back in. So it's just a level of modeling. It sounds like studio equipment, right? It doesn't sound like guitar pedal. It sounds very clear, you know, like super crisp and hi-fi. It's like ready to record. You could just record this and you'd be done, you know. And obviously you can use it for live, just straight to the PA, coming out of wedges or in-ears, you know. So it's a really cool thing to be able to have UAD level, you know, studio level sound coming out of these kinds of boxes, you know. So a lot of guys, even big PA guys, are using like Golden and Starlight on big console center returns, so they can just control the, you know, the effects. So even guys doing analog mixer workflows are using these center returns. So I guess the easiest way to think about them is they're studio effects, like rack effects in pedals, yeah. And we have a whole bunch of different applications, from amps, speaker, simulation, reverbs. And we even have 1176 LA2A in the Maxes, stuff like that. So I hope you guys can check those out. If you're a fan of UAD, then yeah, you'll love the sound. It's basically what you get when you're mixing. Okay. Let me see. And you guys all know the sphere already, right? So I got nothing else to do. I have something I could tell you, but I can't tell you.
What is it?
I can't tell you.
Stop recording.
You have to wait. You have to wait 2 days. You have to wait 2 days. 2 days. Yeah. In 2 days, something is gonna happen.
Oh no.
Yeah. But unfortunately, I can't tell you yet.
We still can buy now.
Huh?
We still can buy now, right?
Yeah, no worries.
No worries.
No worries. Yeah. In fact, yeah, by now, and you're gonna be really surprised. Like, what? Really?
Yeah, we buy now. Yeah.
It's gonna get better. You know, in 2 days, it's gonna get better. You know. So, questions? Nope. You good? Yeah. So, kind of to sum it all up, you know, we started there, and we went to that, and now we're here, right? So that's kind of what our vision is to keep the spirit of this alive as we go into this, you know, laptop, you know, this crazy world. It's never been better time, right, to make music. It's crazy how little gear we need to make music now. Laptop, Apollo, a couple plugins, and now with these pedals you can go now on stage with that kind of sound, you know. And we're gonna keep pushing it. So, and there's things I can't tell you, but it's coming. Yeah, many things are coming. I can tell you one thing. November 7th, we are going to have a big software release. I can't tell you the titles in it, but I can tell you that we are going to have a massive update for UAD Apollo users. First thing is VST3. So we're going to finally ported all of the DSP plugins to VST3. Yeah. Another thing is all of the native plugins. Have you guys ever used the native plugins? You use Spark and you use native plugins. The native plugins are nicer than UAD plugins, right? Because they have that whole sidebar. Lets you do the search, lets you do the favorites, lets you do A/B's, compare, let's do all that stuff, right? So we've moved all of that also to UAD too. Yeah. So basically, your systems are all going to get a huge upgrade November 2nd. Yeah. So we know it took a long time. So thanks for waiting. But yeah. So it's going to feel like a fresh. It's going to feel fresh because those features are cool. And yeah, for Cubase guys, it's huge because of the VSTP. Yeah. So there, you got some news. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Thank you. And please, any questions, let me know.